Yeah, so when I wrote the song In Your Faithfulness, there was a season in my life where I was really contemplating the goodness and faithfulness of God and really relying on that to get me through a pretty tough season. It's funny, there's a song by Bethel called Faithful to the End that every time I listen to it, it always makes me cry. And that was kind of what inspired this song, in the sense that I wanted to remind people that no matter what we go through, God is still faithful. But I also wrote it to remind myself that it's okay, you can trust God with this, He's got your back. Because I think I've always had trust issues in my life, I guess because when I was younger, I kind of just relied on myself to get through life, and I didn't really learn how to rely on other people or God in general, and just thought, well, I'll just have to figure it all out myself. But the older you get, the more you realize, I don't have all the answers. And the older I get, the older you get quite disillusioned to the fact that life is not perfect and life doesn't turn out the way that you expect it to, and things happen that just are not nice. And, life sometimes isn't always fair, and the things that happen to us are not always nice, and they don't always make us feel good. And I had to rely on the fact that there was a greater plan behind what I was going through, behind my pain, behind my suffering, and know that I didn't have all the answers and I couldn't figure it out, and I didn't understand why these things happened to me and why I had to go through this, and what was the point, what was the purpose behind it all, why do I have to suffer like this, why do we have to suffer? But when you rely on the fact that God is faithful, God is inherently good, and God has plans to prosper and not to harm us, you are able to face those times with a bit more confidence and strength, knowing that A, God is going to get you through, B, it's for your own good, and C, you're going to learn something from this it will make sense, and you'll go, oh, I went through that season to learn this lesson, or I went through this pain so I could comfort these people in their pain. If you don't have God in the back of your mind going through that, then it does seem pointless, it does seem hopeless, it seems like it's just pointless and hopeless suffering. But when you rely on the fact that He's faithful and He loves you and He's got good plans for you and He's going to turn it for your good, you are able to approach that season with a lot more strength and confidence and resilience. And I can guarantee you that every single time I've been through a season where I've not understood why I had to go through it and why it was so hard and why I couldn't be stronger or braver, God has always come through for me every single time. I can't think of a time where He hasn't used it for my own good and used it for the good of others. And it humbles you and reminds you that you're not just on this earth for your own self as well, but God will use that pain to help others too. So that was really what the song was about, and knowing that there's no love greater than His, and He loves me and He loves all of us so much that no matter what we go through, He's got our back and He's there and He's carrying us, and no matter how hard it seems, He is faithful. And that's the one thing that got me through the tough seasons of the last few years, is I am secure in your faithfulness. That's one rock of foundation that I could, when everything else was crashing down, when it felt like the wind and the waves and the world was shaky, I knew that I was secure because He was faithful. I knew that I was secure because He loved me and He had a plan for me, and He hasn't left me and He hasn't forsaken me. So that is really, the essence of what I was going through and what I needed to hold on to. And I'm hoping that people who listen to this song will have the hope of God's faithfulness and God's love to get them through their season, and to know that they will come out the other side and it will make sense, and God will carry them through it and will use it for His purposes and for their good. That's what I was feeling at the time, and I really hope that it blesses some people.